Breaking news! There's been a lot of buzz recently. Let's get into the details. But first, if you're a die-hard fan, you need to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay informed. Now let's get to the news. Just when Niners fans were starting to look ahead with optimism to the 2025 NFL Draft, a wave of uncertainty has set in. Hidden beneath the surface of excitement are crucial storylines that could define the season before it even begins. One of the biggest revolves around rookie quarterback Kurtis Rourke, a name that may not resonate much right now, but could be an important part of the team's future, or could disappear into the shadows before he even steps onto the field. Because here's the truth, there's a real chance he won't play a single play this year. And that's not just speculation. It's coming straight from the source. A seventh-round pick by the San Francisco 49ers, Rourke arrived with potential, but also with baggage. A partial tear of the ACL he played with last season required surgery in January. That wouldn't be such a big deal if it weren't for the second time he's had to go through the same ordeal. 2 ACL surgeries for a quarterback trying to make it onto one of the most competitive rosters in football. That's a tall order. When asked after the draft about his recovery, Rourke gave fans a glimpse of where he stands physically and mentally. "Yeah, I'm in a really good spot, really excited about where I am, and I'm looking forward to getting on the plan of the 49ers and their medical staff and starting to figure out what the future looks like." Optimistic? Definitely. But reality is stubborn. Even Rourke acknowledged the uncertainty, saying, "We'll see how things go. My mindset has always been, get back as soon as I can, and as soon as I can do anything, then I'm going to do it." That mindset is admirable. But make no mistake, he's battling more than just rehab. He's battling a depth chart stacked with Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, and Tanner Mordecai. Purdy's the unquestioned starter. Mac Jones brings experience and a solid backup presence. Mordecai, while still growing, has already spent a year absorbing Kyle Shanahan's famously complex playbook. Rourke. He's starting from scratch. Even if his knee holds up, he's likely fourth in the pecking order. This is where the strategy becomes apparent. What if this selection was never about 2025? What if the plan all along was to redshirt Rourke, placing him on injured reserve while slowly building him into a long-term asset? It's the kind of patient, calculated move that has worked well for teams in the past, but it requires one key ingredient: time. And in the NFL, time isn't always a luxury, especially when you're talking about quarterbacks with injury history. Still, Rourke isn't the only draft storyline worth watching, because over on the offensive side, another rookie could be set for a completely different path. Jordan Watkins, the fourth-round wide receiver out of Ole Miss, enters San Francisco, facing the opposite challenge. He might be needed right away. The wide receiver room is in flux. Brandon Ayuk, the team's top target, is coming off an ACL injury. Jawan Jennings is heading into a contract year. Demarcus Robinson is potentially facing a suspension. And that opens the door. Watkins knows it too. "It's going to be tough," he admitted. "It's going to be hard to be able to work my way up onto the field as a rookie." But I think the thing that makes San Francisco very special is that they really care about football there. And they told me that if you care about football and you love football, then you're gonna fit in great here. What Watkins brings is speed and versatility, traits that might just be essential if the receiver group can't stay healthy or out of trouble. But what he also faces is arguably the most complex offensive system in the league. Shanahan's playbook has stumped veterans, and Watkins comes from a very different offensive environment at Ole Miss. "The biggest adjustment is the playbook," he said. "Having a traditional style NFL offense compared to what we had at Ole Miss is a lot different, because having time in and out between plays and things like that compared to being at Ole Miss, to where it's so fast and it's rapid. I think that'll be the biggest adjustment for me." Even with all these obstacles, Watkins remains focused on the opportunity. There's some key factors they're missing, he pointed out. So there is going to be opportunity to be able to step in and make those big plays that are needed to win football games. It's a fascinating dual narrative. On one side, a quarterback potentially being stashed away for development. On the other, a receiver who might be thrust into the spotlight before he's ready. And both are rookies trying to earn their place on a team that's expecting nothing short of a playoff return in 2025. Now we turn it over to you, Faithful. What do you think? Should the 49ers take the cautious route with Rourke and preserve him for the future, or push to get him up to speed now? And is Watkins ready to contribute if needed? Or do the Niners need to look for more depth at wide receiver before the season kicks off? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while the offense garners attention with its questions and fresh faces, the defense is quietly undergoing a transformation of its own. After a disappointing 6-11 season and several departures in free agency, John Lynch and the front office were forced to address glaring holes, especially in the secondary. The losses of Charvarius Ward, Rock Yassin, and Isaac Yiadom left the cornerback room dangerously thin. Enter Upton Stout. The 49ers' third-round pick out of Western Kentucky isn't just a depth piece. He might be a critical part of the puzzle. Stout played over half his snaps in the slot last season and didn't allow a single touchdown over 409 coverage snaps across 2 years. He was only targeted 8 times in 2024. That stat alone speaks volumes. It tells you offenses avoided him. It tells you respect was earned. Now, it's not just about whether he can play. It's whether he can start. Diamador Lenoir will continue to hold down the top cornerback role, especially in nickel packages, but the coaching staff might rely on Stout far earlier than expected. If he can learn the system and handle NFL speed, he could immediately lighten the load on Lenoir and bring much-needed flexibility to a secondary that's been bleeding talent. Add to that fifth-round safety Marcus Sigel, a 4.37 speed burner out of Kansas State, and suddenly you're looking at a secondary that may not just survive but thrive. If both Stout and Sigel find their rhythm, they could become one of the league's most surprising defensive duos in 2025. Bottom line, this rookie class could be one of the most high-risk and impactful groups the 49ers have brought in during the Lynch-Shanahan era. With Rourke potentially sitting out, Watkins on the bubble at a top position, and Stout and Sigel looking to rewrite the narrative on defense, this is the kind of draft that could quietly reshape the roster, or become a turning point for years to come. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay informed daily. Go Niners!